Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I'm excited to share with you an overview of the 1st Luftlande division, a new German division available in the SOUTHAG expansion. 8 of the divisions are released now, including this one, and available early if you own the expansion pass. Let's jump on in. We'll go through all of the units and I'll put together a quick deck. So starting here in the logistics, we have ourselves the Cracker munition. This is a 300 supply vehicle with 4 health, 20 points apiece, pretty fast on road, 90 kilometers per hour. I've said it before with these, I wouldn't want to be going 90 kilometers per hour on one of these. They can be brought in without a transport, so just driving in. They can also be brought in with the CH-53. So we have our new Fob Spotter 5000, as you can bring 20 of these CH-53Gs and technically 40 if you bring 2 cards. So I don't know what's going to go on there in like 10v10s and stuff, but I guess I'm kind of looking forward to it, and that it's probably going to get nerfed, but it's going to be funny regardless. Moving on, we have the Unimogs. We've got 2 cards of Unimogs, 12 on a card. They're the classic 500 supply, 90 km/h speed, 25 points apiece. We have the MB 1017 munition truck, which has 1500 supply, you get 4 on a card, and 50 points, 90 km/h speed again on road. It's actually pretty fast off-road as well. 75 km/h off-road is really good. So yeah, nice little transport. One thing you might notice is most of the time the supply always like adds up to 6,000 when you come to this sort of size. Same with like helicopters, so you get like 3 CH-53s here with 2,000 supply, it always adds up to 6,000. Anyway, M577 leaders, you only get 2 on a card. Unfortunately, when you get like 2 on a card, it's not ideal. But yeah, CH-53, I already showed that one off. And then the Krakenführer, you actually get 3 on a card here, which is kind of interesting. So you're probably going to be using these because like getting 3 leaders on a card is actually quite nice, as opposed to like the Fallschirmführungsiltis, which you only get 2 of. These are forward deployed though, so I think in 1v1 these could be very useful because it's a very fast forward deployed Jeep, so you're able to get ahead on conquest points in 1v1 using these, whereas like the Krakenführer, I guess technically you could like use the helicopter to get it to the front quickly, but yeah. Anyway, adding to the amount of CH-53s you can get in this deck, you can get a total of, I think I worked it out as 79 CH-53G transport helicopters in this deck, if you were to buy all of them, or like all of the units that can bring them. Of course, that would be quite expensive to do so, because there are some more expensive units later down the line, but yeah, overall, the logistics tab, nothing crazy, just some like interesting combinations. So the infantry tab, this is where this division gets pretty exciting. So we have MG3 squads, which are pretty standard, 12 12 on a card, 4 strength MG3 squad. You get the Fallschirm MG3, which is interesting because it's 5 points more. You get 1 free vet, and they're forward deployable. So I'm curious if like bringing in a card of these at 2 vet would actually be pretty good. Just kind of like mow down infantry initially that you're bumping into. For 20 points, it doesn't seem too bad. Like they come in an Iltis, which is pretty fast as well. So yeah, you can get these into position very well. Then we have the Feldjäger, so these are the military police. They can come in with the VW. Oh yeah, it's back again. Very cool. Of course you're going to bring that. Why would you not bring that? The Iltis is faster, way faster, but the VW actually has its own military police trait. And for those of you unfamiliar, military police trait grants suppression regeneration bonus to nearby allies and removes any reservist traits from them. So a pretty strong trait to have accompanying your units. Moving on, we have the Sicherungs. These guys are 11-man squad. 45 points, have security trait. Security trait is when they're stationary, it increases their optics to good, or from normal to good, yeah. So there you go. Pretty standard squad. Unfortunately, no like launcher, kind of makes these a little bit vulnerable. But moving on, we have the Panzerführer, 5-man squad, Panzerfaust, Red Eye. Red Eye is obviously not great because of its low accuracy and HE. but having a leader that can somewhat defend itself against like recon helicopters and stuff like that is kind of nice. And it can be brought in with the Marder 1A1, which does get the twin MG because it has the MG on the back here, as well as the one that is coaxial. So yeah, not too bad. It's going to be decent fire support against infantry. And we have the Panzergren with the M113s. So this is a 9-man squad with the Panzerfaust. Come in with the M113 with the MG3 on it, or the Unimog. And then we've got the standard Panzergrens that come in with the 1A1 or the 1A1 Milan. This is a reasonable squad, like 6-man squad. It's got a decent amount of power for a 6-man squad because it's got an MG3 and a sniper. Or technically, like I guess a G3 would be a marksman rifle, but in this game it's classed as a sniper. So you got nice suppression coming out of that, decent accuracy, and Panzerfaust as well. And then yeah, Marder 1A1 and 1A1 Milan. This is just a standard Milan, not like a Milan 2 or anything, but still a nice addition to the Marder. Then we have the Cracker M40 recoilless. Can be brought in with the CH-53, so this is what I was talking about earlier, where we can have a lot of CH-53s, but this is just, again, M40 recoilless, so almost 40% accuracy because they come in base 1 vet with 17 penetration. If you actually double vet these, for 45% accuracy, it's not too bad. Now we're moving on to the real meat here, the Gebirgsjäger. So we have, first of all, the leader squad with the Carl Gustav M2 and the Red Eye. So again, dual purpose like leader squad. Having a Carl Gustav is really nice. And you've also got smoke here. Now the Gebirgsjäger, they have a new trait called Mountaineer. Mountaineer have no movement penalty in difficult terrain such as forests. And this is going to be really useful, particularly on the next unit, the Gebirgspioneer, which is a 10-man squad with a satchel charge. So because you're not getting slowed down by the forests, you can actually run onto the enemy, initiate the shock trait, which increases damage when you get closer. And furthermore, you can get the satchel on target, nice and easy. So you can run at the enemy really well with these. And counter to that, the Gebirgsjäger standard squad, you can retreat from enemy very easily. So you wouldn't really want to run into the enemy with this Gebirgsjäger squad because you want to be utilizing like your range advantage with the G3 and the MG3. So you'd be like sort of kiting away from the enemy as they come towards you, which you can do very easily using the Mountaineer trait again. So Panzerfaust on those, yeah, pretty nice squads. Then we have the Fallschirmjägers. So we got the Fallschirmführer with the 6-man leader squad, so just a 6-man with smoke. I like it. I generally like any leader that has smoke for itself, regardless of the other weapons. I prefer, like, I guess AT plus smoke would be like the best combination, because like AA plus smoke is kind of weird because you can accidentally like give away your position and people might RT like where the AA came from, for example, and you might not realize. But regardless, you can put them on like return fire, of course. Fallschirm Pioneers. So Fallschirm Pioneers are good. They are shock. So shock and airborne as opposed to shock and mountaineer. And yeah, they have the same weapons as the Gebirgs Pioneer. But the thing is with the Fallschirm Pioneer and the Fallschirm units is they do get 1 free vet. So you can, get a higher veterancy easier with leaders nearby. So that's always nice. Moving on to the Fallschirm Reservisten. We have ourselves an 8-man squad, which is airborne. They have the 7G3s, the MG3, and the Carl Gustav. For 50 points, it's an okay squad. Of course, you don't benefit from the same veterancy as you get from the other Fallschirmjäger squads because they're reserves, so you can only put them to 1 vet, which I would probably still recommend doing. For 50 points, plus a Unimog for 20 points, it's a 70-point call-in, which is really not too bad. Then we got the standard Fallschirmjäger, and these have always been really good. So 8-man squad, you get the Panzerfaust 3, which is fantastic for destroying armored vehicles. So really solid squad. You've got the shock trait in there. 8 strength of the Unimog. And then we have the Milan. So we got the Milan 1 that comes in with the M13 and the Marder 1A1. So classic 17 pen with 2,450 meter range. We've got the Milan 2, 24 pen, 2,450 meter range. These can be brought in with Fuchs and the Fuchs Milan. I like the Fuchs Milan combination just because you can get an extra HGM on target with that. The only trouble with the Fuchs Milan generally is that the stealth is bad, so kind of sucks. But if you keep it at max range, you can use it to pick off enemy APCs and sort of light vehicles. Then we have the Fallschirm Milan 2. So this is just another Milan 2, except from it has the forward deploy ability due to the airborne trait. And then we have the Hochgebirgsjäger. So these guys are special forces. They have the special forces trait. They have the shock trait. They also have the mountaineer trait. So an absolutely crack squad. They're also airborne, so you can forward deploy them. Putting these out at the start of the game is going to be so good if you want to challenge enemy infantry positions, because with the mountaineer trait, you can really take advantage of the special forces and shock by getting on top of the enemy very quickly, since you do have a satchel to take advantage of that as well. Very nice squad. 11 strength. You're going to be able to like resupply these and just keep using them really well. Like with other special forces, generally like special forces squads are quite small, and so they die very easily if they get focused. But an 11-man squad is going to be able to survive that a lot easier. And then we have the Luftgebirgsjäger. These guys, CH-53s again as their transports, but quite an expensive choice because you've got to go 90 points plus the 50. So that's what 140 points call in. But this squad is really good again. It is a 16 strength squad. You've got the G3A4s, so 13 of those. You've got 2 MG3s and a G3 with the Carl Gustav M2. So fantastic squad. Honestly, like at longer ranges, they're going to be deleting enemy infantry that's coming towards them. Really strong, like in buildings on their own, just like dominating positions. The infantry in this is just insanely good. It really is. So yeah, Luftlande, certainly one to look for on the infantry front. Artillery. So we have not much in the artillery tab, to be honest, just 120mm mortars. There's the 120mm mortars of the Fallschirmjägers. The main difference here is that they have extra veterancy. They do also have the airborne trait. It's not particularly important for artillery, but yeah, the fact they have one extra vet is probably worth having if you're going to take some 120mm mortars. Then we have the Fallschirmjäger 105. Again, they get free vet, so 70 points and forward deployable, but again, you're not really going to be like forward deploying your artillery at the start of the game generally. Then we got 155s, which is probably going to be like the go-to generally. Either that or the M109G back here. There is the Panzermörser, which is a 120mm in M113. So if you want like a more mobile mortar, it can be a nice choice. I actually don't mind like using 120mm like cheap mortars with Unimogs and keeping the Unimogs on the map just so that you can like pick up the mortar and move them afterwards, rather than like running a an armored mortar like this, but it's personal preference. And then we have the M109G. So the M109G, it has 3.4 damage because of the 155mm gun, but it basically doesn't have the range that the towed gun does. So this is 24 kilometers and this is 14 kilometers. So the dispersion on this is going to be worse. But either way, nice to have mobile, strong artillery. And at the moment, I'm seeing people tend to have their artillery closer to the front line now than they used to. So yeah, if you keep this closer to the front line, it's still going to be doing a lot of damage. Moving on to the tank tab. We have ourselves the Kraka Milan. Again, can be coming in on its own, but also with the CH-53G. So you can have that helicopter transport for that. This comes with the Milan 2 for 50 points, and it does have good stealth. So this is probably the most important thing when you're looking at HGM vehicles, is their stealth. Being able to like fire without being immediately spotted is super important. Unless obviously there's like a recon in front, and then it will get spotted. But when you're like firing an HGM at a tank at a distance and that tank doesn't have a recon in front of it, it won't reveal itself with the first shot, generally speaking. There's also an ITO version for 55 points. which has 2,625 meter range, 65% accuracy. So you're getting an extra 10% accuracy. You're losing 4 penetration, but you're also getting an extra 200 meter range, and you still have good stealth. So another really good choice. Then we have the M48 A2GA2, which has 17 pen, 10 front armor, 1,925 meter range, 55% accuracy. I think it's okay for 80 points, but you don't get any like veterancy on it at all. It has to come in with green veterancy, which is kind of rough. Generally with tanks you want to be upbedding them. Then we have the Jag. The Jaguar 2 is always a nice choice. TOW 2 launcher, 25 AP, 2,600 meter range, 65% base accuracy. You could upvet it to get 70% accuracy, but I think base is fine, and you get 5 on a card. So yeah, big fan of the Jaguar 2. It can really stand out if you keep it at max range. Then we have the Leopard 1A1A1s. For 90 points, the Leopard's always been reasonable. Unfortunately, in this case, again, you can't upvet them, so you're not able to push that accuracy up. It's already pretty decent, but if you say one bet these, you get like 10 round per minute rate of fire, and you get 60% accuracy. So it's always nice to get that extra vet, and then you can obviously stack vet with a leader nearby as well. So not as nice in this deck as other decks, but at least you get some Leopard 1A1A2s, which do get 18 pen, so they get a better gun. Let me just compare these for you so you can see. So for 5 points, you have yourself 1 extra AP. You're getting the base veterancy that I was talking about, so you can see that the accuracy is 60%, rate of fire is 10. You're basically paying for like 1 extra AP, which is actually pretty big, honestly. So yeah, for 5 points, definitely worth taking those. And I don't know if I'd want to like 2 vet them or 1 vet them, but if you 2 vet them and put a leader behind them, you got a 3 vet Leopard 1A1A2, which is pretty nice for like the closer range engagements. And then we've got the leader, so the Leopard 1A1A1, which comes with base 1 vet, so you do get the extra accuracy on that at least, and it is a nice tank leader. Right, moving on to the Recon, we have ourselves the Alouette. So this is the Alouette 2. It's a classic 30-point recon helicopter with very good optics. We got the Gebirgs Scharfschütze. These are a 2-man G3 squad, so both of them have snipers. They are special forces, airborne. They do have the sniper trait and the mountaineer trait. The one thing that I find really interesting about the mountaineer trait on snipers is that they're going to be able to move through tree lines a lot faster. So you're going to be able to get them into positions where they can provide good information faster than you can with other snipers, which is cool. Yeah, and then once they're stationary, they get the sniper trait, so they get an extra boost to accuracy and damage when not moving, and they also get an extra level of stealth, but they've got to remain still for at least 10 seconds to get that bonus. Yeah, special forces is going to make them more difficult to kill as well, which is cool. You can bring them in with a Krake Aufkader. So we've got the Iltis here and the Krake Aufkader, which is an MG3 Krake with good optics. Since it has good optics and good stealth, not a bad choice, honestly, as a transport for those. Then we have the Gebirgs Aufkläder, a really nice squad again. 10 strength, like all of the infantry in this division is so good. So 10 strength squad with G3, sniper plus MG3 plus Panzerfaust. Also get the mountaineer trait. Yeah, solid. Provides you with very good optics and a decent line infantry. They can be brought in with the Fuchs with the good optics, but this is only mediocre stealth, so it's not as useful. UH-1D, like this would be more of like a suicide recon as opposed to this one, which could actually like stay in a tree line and provide information. But yeah, can be brought in with the helicopter or just the truck. And then we have the Gebirgs Jagdkommando, which is a shock mountaineer. So they have 11-man squad. You got the mountaineer trait, which allows you to advance on enemy infantry in forests easier. You have a satchel to then throw at them with the shock trait enabled. Solid recon squad with very good optics again. These are fantastic. And we have the Fallschirm Aufkader, which on their own as a 4-man squad is pretty decent. because of the Panzerfaust 3. Like at the start of the game, these can take up position very easily, very cheaply, and take out important targets, especially since they have like the Iltis transport with the 100 km/h road speed. But better than those, you have the Fallschirmjäger B1, which are absolutely correct. We already have these in the game, but it's really, really solid squad. So they've got the MP5 SD, which is fantastic at the close range engagement, with a 92% accuracy with a 2 base vet. And then the HK21, plus the Satchels, plus the Panzerfaust, so they're going to be good at clearing out infantry and able to take care of armoured targets. They have Special Forces trait, Shock trait. It's just like the most overloaded infantry squad ever, and they're fantastic. You can also bring them in on triple vet. Generally, I wouldn't recommend triple vetting things, although Special Forces, I believe, can go beyond the elite, I think. I don't know if I'm getting that wrong. But regardless, you can take them at elite veterancy straight off the bat. I think veteran's fine, and you just have a leader behind them to push it up, and therefore you get the extra availability for these, which is kind of important because they're such a good strong squad, and they kind of win without the veterancy anyway. Then we have the CL-289, really interesting rocket recon UAV. So basically it's a rocket with a camera strapped on it, and it flies very fast, but it doesn't turn very well. So it has a massive turn circle, but you can like zoom over the enemy and kind of quickly spot things. Now, I'm really scared about how good these are going to be in like team games, because FOBs are basically going to be spotted so easily by these, because UAVs are already like hard to hit. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You can just launch like 4 of these out at the start of a 10v10, and if more than one person does that, then they're definitely going to spot the location of all the enemy FOBs. It's scary for team games, but a really interesting unit. Nonetheless, I still feel like they never should have put FOBs in the game, but that's a story for another time. Lux A1, classic, very good recon with 20mm autocannon, and we have the Leopard 1A5 Alpha Cutter as well. So this is actually really good because it's a 1A5, so it has 2,275 meter range plus the 65% accuracy. This is a fantastic recon tank. Would I upvet it? Maybe. Because that extra veterancy is going to help you so much. Like, plus the optics. This is just a really, really solid tank that's going to catch out a lot of people. Moving on to the AA, we have the Fliegerfaust. Fliegerfaust have always been a bit trash. 35% accuracy for HE. You'd want to upvet these at least if you want to have a chance of hitting anything. But we do have the 20mm here, which is good for infantry support, but also for obviously taking down helicopters. Has the Kraken as a transport. There is the dual 20, which is basically 2 of these next to each other, and that's just going to be doing extra DPS. It is a little bit more expensive, but only 5 points more expensive, so you probably always want to go for the twin. Then we got the Kraken with the 20mm on it. It's the same gun, just mounted on the Kraken. Again, CH-53. You can see how you can get a lot of these transport helicopters. It's crazy. Then we have the Unimog with the 20mm on it. And there's the Gepard available as well. Classic Gepard, we've seen that before. Alright, in the heli tab, not too much to see here. Just the BO-105 with the Hot 1 with the 22 penetration, 2,600 meter range, or the Hot 2 with the 24 AP and extra accuracy. I think just having like one card of the BO-105s here is a good idea. And then we have the air tab, so Alpha Jets with rockets. So these are 68mm rockets, just good for sort of picking off infantry. Not going to do too much against armored targets. But 75 points, actually not too bad, especially if like the AA is clear somewhat. In like a 1v1, you might be able to just pick off lots of units on the sides. There is an Alpha Jet with Mavericks available. Mavericks are fire and forget, so they can launch these at the 3,150 meter range and just kind of leave immediately. It does have 20% ECM, which is pretty good for an Alpha Jet. Yeah. Interesting. The one thing that's bad about Alpha Jets is they only have 6 health, so that is the one thing to watch out for. They can get shot down by enemy AA very easily, but both of these loadouts are cool And this AIM-9 is also pretty decent, 60% accuracy. You have the 27, so you could probably use it to shoot down helicopters as well in a pinch. Really interesting aircraft here, the HFB 320. The HFB 320 is an E-war plane. It comes with 60% ECM, so incredibly difficult to shoot down. And the electronic warfare reduces enemy radar AA accuracy by 20% when it's within like the big circle that they have around them. So yeah, really, really solid aircraft for spotting enemy air, like AA, and obviously suppressing it as well whilst you come in with your other strikes. So very cool aircraft. Never seen anything like it, to be honest. Like, well, I have seen something like it, but what I mean is I've never seen this plane before. I didn't know this existed. Moving on, we have the F4F. This has the AIM-9s. So yeah, AIM-9L, 60% accuracy, 5 HE. It's going to be good like at dogfight in a close range, but getting into close range might be difficult. And like especially if you're up against packed AA with like long range, like Cubs, Books, Krugs, these sort of aircraft are going to be more difficult to use. There is also the F4F with the upgraded AIM-9, which has 65% accuracy. And then we have the F4F with the laser guided bombs. There's an F4F with 454 kilogram bombs. We have the Tornado IDS with the MW1 system that we've seen before. And then there's also the Tornado IDS with the seed missiles. So this comes with 2 harms with 65% accuracy. And yeah, always good to have a bit of seed. Bear in mind, these have 50% ECM, so that's pretty good for the Tornado IDS seed. The IDS has 30%. The F4Fs are all 30% as well. So pretty decent ECM overall. Plus, if you're using this at the same time, you will be able to sneak through those strikes onto enemy radar AA. All right, let's put together a quick deck. So to start, we'll use the Krakeführer. I would recommend using the Fallschirmführungs-Iltis if you're playing 1v1. We'll probably drop in 2 cards of these just because they're really fast and they have 1,500 supply. So that's likely to be the entirety of the logistics tab. Also, bear in mind, 2 things to mention. You don't have a fob and you also don't have long range AA. So as you might have noticed, none of the F4Fs have Sparrows. That's apparently because the US never gave the Germans any Sparrows. And also, you don't have any long-range AA in this deck, so there's no like iHawk or anything like that. But anyway, logistics tab more or less done there. I guess we might need more. Maybe I should be doing CH-53s as well, just to make sure we maximize the amount of supply we have without a fob. I do want to try these. I don't know if they're going to fit. We'll put them in for now. We're obviously going to be bringing in the Hochgebirgsjäger. We'll bring in the Luftgebirgsjäger. And probably going to be using the Milan 2s here. We get 3 cards of Fallschirmjägers. We want Fallschirm Pioneers. Gebirgs Pioneers actually probably better choice overall. Do I want Gebirgsjäger or Fallschirmjäger? Probably Fallschirmjäger for the longer range engagements, although Gebirgsjäger could be pretty fun, especially if like I up-bet them. We'll try one of each. Because then you can have like a Gebirgsjäger when you're fighting in forests, and you have the Fallschirmjäger when you're fighting in towns. That would be the way to do it. Although Fallschirmjäger do have shock. Therefore, you'd kind of not mind if you got into close range engagements. Got to look at leaders here a little bit. I think the Gebirgsjägerführer could be pretty handy, as long as I remember to put it on to return fire. Pop that at the front. Okay, well, it looks like I can fit the MG teams in there at least. We'll have them at 2 vet. I want the Gebirgs Pioneers probably at 1 vet, although I say that. Maybe not. Just because of the way they engage. It's like the satchel's like a guaranteed hit almost. I think maybe just a second squad of Fallschirmjäger, and then that'll be good for the infantry tab. Okay, artillery tab. Probably going to use some mortars here. and I'll bring in some 155s. Then for the tank tab, we'll go for maybe both the Karaka Milan and the Krakatoa. Add 2 of that for the extra accuracy. We'll bring in the Leopard 1A, 1A2s at 2 vet, the Leopard Leader, Jaguar, I think that'll do. And then for the recon, we definitely bring in the Leopard 1A5, Fallschirmjäger, Jagdkommando. Probably want to upbet them. Maybe the Fallschirmjäger Aufkadder. Although the sniper's going to be pretty good. And I like the idea of the sniper. I know that recon is kind of important. Also want to try out the CL. It's getting kind of expensive. Yeah, the difficulty here is you kind of got so many good choices that I'm not even sure what to bring. Okay, well, we'll leave it at that for now. So here we probably want to do 20mm Flak-Zwillings. I'll probably do Unimogs with 20mm because they're faster, and then Gepards. Having Fliegerfaust is going to be kind of important, but maybe I do it like this instead. Yeah, bring in one of those, and then we've got enough for 3 aircraft. So in Seed, ECM, I'm kind of tempted to do like ECM Alpha Jet, maybe a bomber. Because this bomber still gets 4 AIM-9s. Or even just like GBU, something like that. Would be kind of handy. The infantry is just crazy in this though. Maybe I don't need to have a second card of Fallschirmjäger. That gives us 3 points back, which means I can put another plane in. Do I need some air-to-air? Probably not. And we'll bring in some bombers. Okay, well, we'll leave it at that. I definitely need to try and optimize this deck a bit. But overall, very, very strong infantry. Decent long-range engagements between like all of the like missiles you can get here, plus like a few decent leopards. Those leopards are going to be really important to keep alive. But because they're 1A5s and 1A1A2s, I don't think that people are going to focus them too much in team games, but in 1v1 they certainly will, because that will be like key targets to take out. Yeah, a really interesting one. Let me just close that. We'll bring them up here. And there you go. Solid deck. Some of the best infantry in the game. Really, really looking forward to trying it out. That's all from me though. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.